Have you ever shown up to dinner expecting one thing, only to discover you've been served something completely different? And what would you do if everyone else at the table secretly felt the same way? Because one dinner party turned into a friendship drama that split an entire friend group. So here's what happened. I was invited to a friend's dinner party a few weeks ago. Before the event, she sent a message to everyone saying she was making vegan lasagna. Now, I'm not vegan myself, but I have absolutely no problem with vegan food. I've eaten plenty of vegetarian and vegan meals before and enjoyed them. So when she said vegan lasagna, I imagined something pretty normal. You know, pasta sheets, tomato sauce, maybe some vegan cheese substitutes, vegetables, herbs, the usual lasagna experience, just made vegan. Nothing about that sounded bad to me. In fact, I was actually curious to try it. The evening arrived and several friends gathered at her house. Everything seemed normal. People were chatting, having drinks, catching up, and enjoying themselves. Eventually, dinner was announced. Everyone grabbed a plate and headed to the table. That's when I noticed something strange. The dish being served looked nothing like lasagna. At first, I thought maybe there had been a mistake. Maybe the lasagna was still in the kitchen. Maybe this was some kind of appetizer. But no, this was the lasagna. Instead of pasta sheets, there were layers of lettuce leaves. Instead of sauce, there were slices of raw tomatoes and other vegetables stacked between the lettuce. No noodles, no cheese, no baked layers, no sauce. Just raw vegetables arranged in layers. It looked more like a giant salad than a lasagna. I sat there trying not to look confused because I didn't want to be rude. After all, she'd spent time preparing food for everyone. I wasn't about to embarrass her, so I ate my serving. And honestly, it wasn't terrible. It was fresh. It was healthy. But it definitely wasn't lasagna. More importantly, it wasn't filling. Within minutes of finishing my plate, I was still hungry. Really hungry. I looked around and noticed a few other guests seemed to be having the same experience. Nobody complained. Nobody made jokes. Nobody criticized the food. Everyone remained polite. The evening continued for a little while after dinner. Eventually, I decided I was going to head home. At least that's what I originally planned. As I was leaving, a few other guests happened to leave around the same time. We chatted outside for a minute. Then someone casually asked, "Is anyone else still hungry?" That question immediately got everyone's attention. Turns out, everyone was still hungry. One person suggested grabbing pizza. Another agreed. Within minutes, several of us were heading to a local pizzeria. There was no secret plan, no conspiracy, no attempt to insult the host. We were simply hungry, so we ordered pizza, we ate, we talked, and honestly, that was the end of it. Or at least I thought it was. A couple of days later, I got a phone call from the host. She sounded upset, very upset. She told me she'd found out that several guests had left her house and gone out for pizza afterward. She said it was rude. She said it was insulting, and she felt humiliated. Apparently, from her perspective, she'd spent time preparing dinner for everyone. Then multiple guests left and immediately went somewhere else to eat. She felt like people were mocking her cooking. I tried explaining my side. I told her I genuinely appreciated the effort she put into hosting. I never complained about the food. I never criticized her vegan lifestyle. I never made a joke about the meal. I simply left because I was still hungry. I also explained that I didn't want to ask for additional food while sitting at her dinner table because I felt that would have been far more embarrassing. But she wasn't convinced. She argued that if I respected her efforts, I should have stayed longer and just accepted the meal she'd prepared. According to her, going out for food afterward sent a clear message that her dinner wasn't good enough. Soon, word spread through our friend group, and that's when the opinions started pouring in. Some friends sided with her. They said going out for pizza immediately after a dinner party was insensitive. Even if nobody intended to be rude, they believed the timing made it look bad. Others completely disagreed. They argued that if you invite people over for dinner and tell them you're serving lasagna, people have certain expectations, and layering lettuce with tomatoes doesn't exactly match what most people think of when they hear the word lasagna. Several people pointed out that being hungry after dinner isn't an insult. It's simply a sign that the meal wasn't substantial enough for some guests. Now the whole situation has become surprisingly awkward. The host feels embarrassed. Some friends think I should apologize. Others think I did absolutely nothing wrong. Personally, I never intended to hurt anyone's feelings. I was just hungry. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe leaving early and grabbing pizza afterward really was disrespectful. Or maybe when you host a dinner party, it's reasonable to expect guests to seek additional food if they're still hungry. So now I'm wondering, was I the jerk for leaving early and getting pizza after being served what was technically called vegan lasagna? Or was this simply a case of mismatched expectations that spiraled into unnecessary drama? You decide.